And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome tonight award-winning author Nev March, joining us live from New Jersey to tell us all about her book, Murder in Old Bombay. Nev, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about your book.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to share some little tidbits about the book. It was such a joy to write. I have to say that up front. It kind of, insisted on being born, shall we say. The book is essentially the story of this somewhat slightly beat up young man, Captain James Agnihotri. He's exhausted. He is recovering from injuries, and he reads a newspaper, an article about two young women who died very mysteriously, strangely, falling one after the other from a clock tower to their deaths, unfortunately. But there's no reason that they would have committed suicide and so on. And he's puzzled. And he has a little bit of this, he's a fan of Sherlock Holmes, so he's looking for the details and decides something doesn't quite look right. But it all comes to a head when the widower of one of the women, the victims, writes a letter in the newspapers, sort of very heartfelt letter. And Captain Jim decides to help. So he is looking for a second career, thinks at first that he'll be a newspaperman and just, write articles. Of course, he's a bit of an action hero. So the story takes off from that point because he gets far more than he bargained for. He has to travel all over India. So the book is a bit of a travelogue. It's written in colonial India when the British ruled India. So there's all the class differences. He has to navigate a whole set of cultural norms and so on. To add to his troubles, he's mixed race. Jim is, of course, quintessentially English, right? James is a very English name. But Agnihotri is an Indian name. It's a Brahmin name, a Hindu name. And so there's that not quite right feeling about his past where you go, why didn't he get, his father's name, his English father's name? So he has that baggage and it, carries right through the book. But he decides that he's going to turn a disadvantage into an advantage by assuming disguises, much like his hero, Sherlock Holmes, and does quite well in that. Allows him to navigate all kinds of environments, from the Maharaja's palaces to society ballrooms and so on. And then also seedy backwaters, some mountain villages, but also, less savory areas, docks, and so on. There's some very fun disguises. I'll let you enjoy the rest. And yeah, he discovers society and some very unhappy, tragic occurrences and practices that are entirely socially accepted, but are extremely unfair. So it is a feminist book. Okay, but I did it from a man's point of view because I think men should be feminists. I think everybody should want equality. It's only a very weak person who would want to have dominance over another. So he experiences these things and he's, coming to certain conclusions. And of course, he falls in love with his client's family. The thing he's not supposed to do. Like Sherlock Holmes would never do that.
No.
So the book ended up breaking a bunch of rules, but it was so much fun to read.
Oh my goodness. Well, I can't wait to get into every single detail of it. But first, I just want to welcome everybody who is watching with us on Facebook, watching with us on YouTube, watching on my channels, Murder by the Books channel. So welcome everybody. If you've been here before, you know how this works. And if you're new here, welcome. We're thrilled to have you. Here's how it works. Every Monday for hashtag Mystery Monday, because Mondays can be murder, I give you two featured authors that I have handpicked to introduce to you, tell you all about their books, and give you the chance to chat with your favorite authors or meet your next favorite authors and ask them anything. So here's your chance to ask Nev March, the award-winning author of Murder in Old Bombay, anything you want about India, about Captain Jim, about her writing process, about writing a man, about writing a mysteries man at the turn of the century, about writing a traditional mystery, anything that's weighing on your brain, get it going in the comments. This is your turn to talk to Nev. So Darla is saying, hello, Nev and Sara. Darla, welcome back. Top community member there. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome, Dana. Welcome, Kathy. Welcome, Anita. Welcome, Deb. Welcome, Rebecca. Welcome, Karen. Great to see you all. So this is your time to ask our featured author anything. So I know it always takes me a moment or two to ask a question. So while you're getting your questions ready, I'll kick off. So now this takes place in at the turn of the century, last century, the 1800s into 1900s, and it won an award for the Mystery Writers Association of Mystery Writers of America for the first crime novel award winner. Congratulations. It also earned a ton of praise, including being an editor's pick, which remains today. Vanessa Cronin saying that Nev March really makes use of the turn of the century Indian setting, and the result is a fascinating, satisfying mystery. Congratulations on that rave review. Welcome, Elizabeth. Welcome, Vicky. Great to see you here. Welcome. Anne would like to know, she said, I love your cover. Did you choose it or did your publisher select it? Anne, I love where you're thinking. I'll admit it. I will judge a book by its cover. I'm shallow or something, but I love a good cover and I love the art of a cover. So Nev, tell us the story. I'm going to hold it up so everyone can see it. Tell us the story of this gorgeous cover.
The entire credit goes to my publisher. I had a preliminary cover that was very much more boring. It had this clock tower, was uplit, just scary looking tower, and a silhouette of a man. Essentially, you just see his back with a hat on it. Very boring, just all black. But they read the book and said that there was a lot of an uplifting quality to the book. And so it's yellow because it's got sunlight and heat of Bombay, but it's also a joyful book at some point. So there's that. They used an old postcard to create the artwork. So a lot of that was from the postcard. But I insisted on inserting the gentleman in the front there with the red coat is Captain Jim. I inserted him standing right next between the donkey and the bullock cart. And then at the top left of the cover, there's a tower. In Bombay, you would not see that in that same location, but that is the tower where the real victims fell. So that is Rajabai Tower, and that is where the real victims of this crime, of this tragedy, did fall from. So this is an unsolved mystery from 1891 that has stayed in my community, in the consciousness of the community. And I only just, decided there had to be a way to figure this out and started doing a lot of research about it. And that's where the book really came from, is from the real original tragedy. If you Google the Rajabai Tower tragedy, you will get newspaper articles from 1892 that talk about it.
Wow, I did not realize that this was an actual crime. And could you tell us again one more time just the name of the original crime that you said what to Google?
Yeah, the Rajabai Tower tragedy.
Okay.
And so it's an unsolved mystery because nobody was ever convicted of the crime. There were 2 trials. 3 people were accused. There were not enough evidence to put them away. Policing was very, very different at that time. And police was acutely short-staffed. It was just so mismanaged. If you read the details of the trial, you realize, oh my God, they were just a million tangents. I actually deleted more than half of the actual details of the crime in order to write the book because it was just unbelievably messy. But it is a real, a real tragedy. The widower who writes the story, the letter in my book, that guy really existed. And he went on, so he was a 22-year-old law student. And when he lost his bride, they'd only been married 1 year. So he lost his bride in this horrendous manner and had a very public trial, and the people got away with it, right? So, what would you expect a 22-year-old boy to do is want to crawl under a rock and, never look at anyone again. Instead, this guy, he went on to become a serial entrepreneur. Yeah, Ardeshir Godrej created 17 industries, businesses that turned into industries that are the origin of the Godrej conglomerate, which is one of Asia's largest businesses today. The guy never remarried, so he must have been deeply in love with his wife. And yeah, left all his enormous contribution to his brother and the brother's family that still runs the business today. But I just admired this man so much. And you'll see that in the book. He's just a charming, charming character.
A charming character who loved his wife so much that he never remarried. Oh my gosh, I just tried to put the link in the comments. I actually posted the fabulous review from the Amazon editor for whom you are a book pick. So let me post the correct link now from Criminal Element, a 100-year-old unsolved crime. For anyone who's interested in learning about the actual crime, there is the link in the comments for you, because I know I love true crime. Karen is saying, this sounds fascinating. Karen, I totally agree. I love true crime. I love historical. And I love that Nev, you took this true, still unsolved 100-year-old crime and wrote this book about it. Absolutely fascinating. This is so cool. Okay, Darla would like to know, what made you decide to leave the business world and become a writer? Nev, give us the skinny.
Thank you. What a great question. Yeah. So I've always wanted to be a writer. Okay. I got a couple of small articles published even in 1991. I was very young, but there wasn't much money in it. Frankly, there isn't much money in it. But I did need to make a living. And, if you can see behind me, those pictures of little boys, they're my boys. I had to earn enough to send them to college. So I put aside my writing for over a decade and did some things with, community oral history projects and so on, but put aside creative writing to just focus on my career, make a living, put away some money for their college education. And then when I got laid off, I went, yippee! I really did. Because we were finally at the point where my husband has the stable job, and thank God for that. I could take a risk. It's a huge risk to give up an income.
Yes, yes.
And I really, really wanted to write. I just kept telling my husband, I'll do it when I retire. And then he went, well, you're home now, so why don't you do it now? I know it sounds weird, right? But I was interviewing. I was, writing resumes. I was, and that aha moment, like, oh, why don't I do it now? So I have to give him credit for that. That's kind of what made me switch and say, all right, let's do this. Maybe it'll go nowhere, right? Maybe there are thousands of writers. What makes me a better one? But I had to teach myself the actual craft of writing, because I've got multiple degrees, but none of them is in literature. They're in economics and health policy. So yeah, that's what I did to make a living. But I just wanted to learn how to write. So I taught myself the craft. I kind of created my own MFA. And I just loved writing so much that now I teach creative writing at Rutgers Osher Institute. I mean, it's small courses, 5 weeks or 10 weeks. It's not a huge investment. They cost like $100. But it's just, I love to share that joy with other people, because when you pull out those stories that are hiding inside you, you actually discover what you think as you write. And there's just so much joy in it. I'd love for everybody to have that.
I love that, Nev. That's such a beautiful way to say it, that you love to quote, pull the stories, because so many of us have those stories hiding in there, right? And so now you teach writing, and tell everyone again, at Rutgers.
So Rutgers Osher Institute, OSHER. Osher Institute has multiple locations, like 270 locations. They are for adult learning. They are non-credit. And they're very short courses, and they run the gamut. There's all kinds of different topics that you can learn. They could be 5 weeks, it could be 1 day, or it could be 10 weeks. So I do them every now and then. Right now I'm not teaching, but I'll go back again in December. And yeah, feel free to join the classes. Rutgers Osher Institute. They'll publish a big list, and it's like over 90 courses to choose from.
Wow. And Heidi is saying, quote, I love to share that joy that she loves. And I do too, Heidi. Welcome. Great to have you. Great to see you as always. Top community member there. Welcome back. Saying that she loves to see you having that joy and sharing that joy. And that joy is palpable. That's so cool, Nev. That's really neat. And it's so hard to gather the courage to leave a career, both the loss of the income, terrifying, and also putting yourself out there in a really raw, vulnerable way and putting your work, that dream that you've held, you know, like a little nugget safe in your heart all these years, and then to put it out there and be like, oh, I hope everybody likes it. And sometimes people can be like, you suck, you know, and write a really mean review, and it's terrifying. So many levels of courage here, folks, many layers of courage, many levels of courage, but it worked because check it out. You got an incredible feedback. One of Pop Sugar's 10 chilling thriller and mystery books of the month. Congratulations on that. And the praise does not end there. One of We Are Bookish's most anticipated books of the year. You won this award. Amazing. Nev, how long did it take you to write this book, start to finish?
So the first draft came out in 4 months, but I will admit that it was a little scary experience because I couldn't do anything other than write. It was a nonstop. I'd finish one chapter and the second would be playing in my head like a DVD on endless loop. You know, you just got to. Yeah, so I think I slept very little, but that was 4 months that it pretty much came out. The middle of it, I did have an outline, believe it or not. I had an outline, I had a plan, but the middle of the book, Captain Jim kind of just hijacked it.
So Captain Jim hijacked it. Now, what was it like having a man's voice living in your head, as you said, on loop over and over again? And what was it like for you to try to write a man? I mean, I'm married to one, and who the heck knows what the guy's thinking? I mean, I don't know. Like, how did you get into a man head?
Right. So I deeply empathize, right? It's very strange because he is a gentleman. He is so polite, even when he talks to me, that it's just charming. And you would imagine now, I wrote the book in 2017. To have somebody living in your head for that long, shouldn't I get tired of him at some point? No, he makes remarks to me. He makes asides, and now another character has started speaking, so I have to now follow that character. But he's still there. Captain Jim is just always there. So what is it like to write a man? My first 2 short stories that I'd written in 91, both were from boys' points of view. Don't ask me why. That's how they came up. One's an adventure story. The other one is a science fiction story. I don't even write science fiction. It was just, that's the story that came out. I actually have the sense that the stories aren't actually just there, and they choose a medium. They choose, like, okay, you're walking through the street today. I choose you to write me. Something like that. So I wrote this one, and then I'd find entire chapters and take it to my husband and say, okay, read this one. I know you don't know what's going on, but just, would a guy say that? Would a guy do that? Would a guy think that? And then I had this wonderful group of critique group that writers that helped me out, and they went through every chapter with me. So these are 70 very short chapters. We worked through it in 70 weeks. And the one time I was not there, they were calling me to say, where are you? We were waiting for the next chapter. So the guys in the group got so passionate about it. No, he wouldn't use this word. Guys don't use the word heart like that. Yeah. So they coached me into it. And I will admit that it worked, because originally when the book came out, it was the marketing was going on. I didn't have a headshot that I could use. All my headshots were with babies, with my kids, with my husband, in the middle of cooking. Like, okay, I can't use those. I need a proper author shot. So I didn't have one up for the longest time, and people thought I was a man.
Here we go. We have a proper author shot. Now, Nev, what is something that you got wrong? Did your husband or your critique partner say, no, a man would never say, think, or do that?
Hard for me to remember exact phrases, but the word heart that apparently guys will not use the word heart in language, in spoken language. They may think it. It's okay to have in internal thoughts. Like my heart was beating, like, but they would never use the word. So apparently that's like, this is okay. You have to be a manly man. You can't use the word heart. Okay, I don't know. But Jim is actually very formal. So he's lived in the 1890s, I assume. So he's very formal, and the way you use language there at that time is very formal. It's also being brought up in the military, going to be ingrained with a certain formality and composure, a certain way of presenting oneself. And so that was given to me like on a platter. I didn't have to create that. He is a composite of 3 or 4 real people. Some people I knew and some people I read about.
Excellent.
And so there's a lot of research, and writing a man, I found it astonishingly easy because it was him. I don't know that I would just be able to do it.
Exactly. Welcome, Leslie. Welcome, Christine. Welcome, Lynn. Welcome, Stephen. Welcome, Lynn. Welcome, Diane. Welcome, Judy. Great to have you. Now, Nev, you also got a rave review from Marilyn Stasio at the New York Times Book Review. Big time there, lady. Congratulations. She raved that Captain Jim is an instantly, I'm going to pop it up here, instantly likable character whose good heart, speaking of heart, and endearing ways make him an ideal narrator. His sleuthing takes him on an utterly enjoyable and picturesque journey through India, on which he encounters beggars and brigands, adventure and danger, and finds romance. What an incredible review there from the New York Times. That's fantastic. Congratulations. Now, a fun fact about this, which Nev, you're also a bit of a sleuth, a detective yourself who caught a criminal. Tell us the story.
Well, not to oversell, right? In 1993, my husband and I were taken in by a con man. We were cheated. We went to buy furniture at Siemens somewhere in North Jersey, and I had just arrived a couple of years ago. I was a student. I hadn't gotten a driver's license. I didn't know how to drive. So to get the loan, he asked me for my credit cards. And this very dapper looking, extremely stylishly dressed salesman, Fred Robinson was his name, by the way. Who remembers a salesman from 1993? Okay, but I'll tell you why. So this guy took all my credit cards, went away into the back, brought them back, and said, all right, you can get the loan. It looks like so. I thought he was checking our credit history, and I didn't have any because I'd only just come to the US. So long story short, there were fraudulent charges on every credit card, $400, $500, $600 on every card. Terrified me because for a second I thought somebody had access to our home, because how did they get all my cards? And then it occurred to me that, okay, this guy did go and make copies of the cards. So he cheated us. But I was able to call the credit card companies and get rid of those charges. And I called the cops. I called the police, and they did nothing. And that made me a little mad. Because here's somebody walking around cheating people. Even though I don't have to pay those bills because the credit card company ate it, he's going to cheat another person and another person, and he won't stop because he hasn't been caught. So I decided I was going to see how far I could go and find him. And so I found out that he had been using Essence by Mail, was the catalog, sending very dapper clothing to 121 Center Terrace in Newark, New Jersey. And I remember that address because every single shipment, he was sending it to himself. Crooks are not very smart. So I told the police. I called the detective back. I said, here, had it all documented. Here's where every shipment went. This is what was actually shipped. I had all the, apparently I'm paying for it. So they gave me, the credit card company gave me all the purchases. The police didn't do anything. Nothing, because it wasn't a sufficiently large ticket item, or the amount didn't hit that threshold of how big it had to be before they would send somebody out to Newark to hunt this guy down. And so the guy continued in his nefarious ways. And I think I had a sense of outrage from that time that okay, what about the next victim? And what about somebody elderly who can't read and just goes ahead and signs that check and doesn't check every item? What about those people? It just made me mad.
Yeah, it's making me mad too. That's crazy. But good for you for tracking them down. Detective Nev reporting for duty.
Well,
Well,
unfortunately, it did not have the effect I wanted, but hey,
now,
it's life.
Nev, that is a very cool story, and I love that. Now, Nev, your book opens with a Grenadiers Lament, and this Grenadiers Lament has a very cool 150-year-old true story behind it. Tell us the story of this 150-year-old lament.
Right. So I'm going to read it to you because it's only 6 lines long, and then I'll tell you where it came from. So Grenadiers Lament goes like this. 200 mutineers we called to assembly. My brothers came and lined up proper. They had rifles, but no cartridges from ordnance that day. The command was given, we turned and fired. Like soft wax, they dropped, still in their ranks. The rest we tied to cannon and tore to shreds. So this is a situation where the army killed its own people. They killed this entire company. They shot them dead, and the rest, they tied them to cannon and blew them up. It's based on a Gujarati poem by this gentleman, Bejanji Fartunji Ghansiwala, in 1898, who was my grandmother's grandfather. This guy was a self-educated man. He was illiterate and decided to teach himself Gujarati first, and then he learned English from the British soldiers in the barracks. So he was running around shining their shoes and fetching things from them. He became a mess man, meaning someone who's a cook in the British Army in 1857. When the Sepoy Mutiny happened, he was an eyewitness to the whole thing. So he wrote it out in this book. There are only 2 copies in existence. It's called Bejanni Bhekasi, and it's in Gujarati. I couldn't read this. It was published by my grand aunt. It's in Gujarati, but it's a 150-year-old language. So I got it translated page by page in 2005. And that is what he saw. He saw the company that was accused of treason being shot down by their own comrades. So, and there were numerous other atrocities. That became kind of like a family secret, because if he had to publish this or tell people about this before independence, it would be called sedition. It went against what the British were saying, that the mutineers were shot trying to escape. And he was there, so he wrote it all out. So,
Nev, did you know he saw that before you had this translated?
We had this in the family lore. Bejanni Bekasi means the helplessness of Bejan. The translation of the title is the helplessness of this guy, Bejan. He felt helpless being an eyewitness, and he made that the title of his book. But it's an autobiography, so we kind of knew that he had experienced these things, and we just didn't know the extent of it because nobody had bothered to translate it. It's the stuff that you file away in an old cabinet and forget about it. Yeah. So when I did that, the family was shocked that he had written all this out in great gory detail. He had to kill a man. He wrote about his feelings about that, how that happened. There were some, very
he had to kill a man, Nev?
He did. This guy had to kill a man, yeah. And to survive, the guy was coming at him with a chaku, with a huge sword. So he actually shot the guy, and he was terrified because he had 1 bullet in his rifle, and if he had to miss, the guy would be on him. So terrifying, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so this was my ancestor. Who knew? We didn't know about this guy. So I wove this into the story because there's a secret at the heart of this whole big mystery. There's a secret. The big question is, why didn't the girls call for help? Why didn't they, if they were under attack, why didn't they call for help? So there's a secret. They were hiding.
Wow.
And then, this helps. This whole story is embedded in there.
Wow. Karen saying, what? Again, just fascinating. Karen speaking for all of us. Yes. Yes, this is crazy. This is fascinating. So your grandmother's grandfather, so 4 generations ago in 1850, witnessed the truth of this mutiny, which is the army slaughtering their own people. He wrote it down, preserved it, and 150 years later, you, Nev, had it translated and learned the truth of what this man witnessed. This is crazy. Oh my goodness. Welcome, Jennifer. Welcome, Marion. Welcome, Linda. Welcome, Saima. Welcome, Glenn. Welcome, Kendra. Welcome, Judy. Great to have you. Any questions for Nev? Get them going in the comments. Kirkus Review said, based on true events, March's crisply written debut combines fascinating historical details with a clever puzzle. High praise from King Kirkus. And no, that praise don't come cheap. They are quite picky. Mystery Scene Magazine says this is a beautifully told, exciting adventure and romance with a well-crafted mystery at its center. Now, this is a traditional mystery in the spirit of Agatha Christie, Poirot, Sherlock Holmes, Captain Jim's Hero. Is your next book a traditional mystery? Are you staying with this? Are you staying historical? Are you going off the path? What are you writing next, Nev?
So I'm putting the finishing touches on a second book right now. I seem to gravitate to real world unexplained events.
Love.
I don't know why this is happening, but something catches my interest. So the second book is wrapped around the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago.
Ooh.
And there are the real 6 or 7 strange, peculiar events that happened that don't quite have an explanation. And so I've woven them together. I have taken a few liberties with the order of things, like, something happened in October, I moved it up into June, but other than that, they are accurate. And it has been so much fun to write again. This one, I have been able to control a little bit better. It did not, it didn't turn me into a maniac. So I was able to create an outline. It did have a little bit of give in it, but just finished revisions on it, just finished editing it, and it's ready to go.
Yay! Do you have a title yet? Can you share it? Do you feel comfortable sharing it? Tell us.
Yeah, sure. It's called Peril at the Exposition. Peril at the Exposition.
Excellent. And is Captain Jim coming stateside, or do you have a new protagonist? And
He's coming stateside.
Coming stateside. Absolutely. I love it. So he is coming over here to check out the state fair, the famous World Fair in Chicago, where, of course, Devil in the White City takes place.
Yes.
So yeah, apparently a very big, exciting deal there at the turn of the century. I love that. Yeah. So Nev, what as both a writing teacher and as someone who's received all of this incredible praise, I'm copying and pasting all of your amazing reviews into the comments so people can enjoy them with us. What's your best advice for how to craft a mystery that wins an award, that gets all these great reviews? What do you think the secret to your success is?
Gosh, that's a hard one, Sarah. I'll just say, to really think it through, to allow yourself the time to figure out why things are happening. We tend to get very caught up in the intellectual puzzles, like Agatha Christie's puzzles, like no one can touch. They're just so clever. I never see them coming. Okay, they always take me by surprise, and yet all the clues are right there. To do that is very, very hard, to plant that in just such a fashion. But I tend to like books that are a little bit more heartfelt or a little bit more emotional. I like the intellectual puzzle, but people fascinate me.
Yes.
And to just really delve into that, you have to spend the time to ask why someone is doing something or what they're likely to do. Why, and keep asking why. Sometimes, like in Murder in Old Bombay, the character decides to do something that you didn't plan. You have to run with it. You have to let it go. You have to just say, all right, I'm along for the ride now. I might have to kill 100 pages, but let's just do it. It may be a waste of time. It may be 3 months wasted, but let's take a risk. Yeah. And I think that's the key. The stories that work are the ones where the characters really, really drive the action. And yet you have to have that some amount of outline to make it all work at the end, to tie up the pieces at the end. So it does take a certain amount of strategy, like intellectual ability to put those things together. But I encourage writers to let yourself explore the feelings, the heart,
Mm.
the difficulties that people experience, and you'll find strange things happen. People from my past kept popping into these characters. Many of these characters are based on people I knew. And by
Ooh.
writing them, I was actually understanding them.
Ooh. And
Barjor is a character, a person that I really did know. And I had this contradictions in my feelings for him until I wrote the character. And then I saw what was really, really going on with him. He's very devout.
mhm,
And he's
mhm.
also very kind. He's very a truly generous man, but he ends up hurting Captain Jim terribly.
Yeah.
Well, how can this be? How can this contradiction be? And when you get
Mhm.
into him, then you realize what's the pressure that he's under. He's trying to follow
Mm,
the rules, and the
mm.
rules are broken. The rules are bad. The rules are
Yeah.
hurting people, but he has to follow the rules. So those are the pressures I discovered for this character, and it changed how I thought about the real person in my life. And you'll find that happening all over the place in minor characters and the romantic interest in everywhere.
Oh, I love that. Karen is saying, great topic. Looking forward to the next book. Absolutely. Karen, me too. Thank you for that. And thank you for Nev. I want to remind everyone that you can get your copy of Murder in Old Bombay. Again, the NWA, the Mystery Writers of America winner of the so congratulations again, and right there it is, your winning stamp. Congratulations, Nev. So I'm putting the comment in the I'm putting the link in the comments right now, so you can grab it from Murder by the Book. Support independent bookstores and get this fabulous traditional mystery. Again, Crime Reads best traditional mystery of the year. Congratulations on that, Nev. Absolutely amazing. It looks
It's been amazing. It has been just
like, yeah.
astonishing how well the book was received. And I want to thank you. I mean, it's folks like you that, keep this alive. Hopefully you're enjoying it. And I would love to hear from you when you're done reading it. So I'm not saying another word, but that's how the word gets out. If somebody really loves it and then shares it with someone else. So thank you.
Oh yay! I thought you were saying that's how the word gets out about a spoiler. So I was zipping my lip to ensure that I would not be sharing any of the spoilers. So I won't be ruining it for anyone who is still reading or about to read. And I want to remind everyone that if you, like me, nerd out on mysteries and thrillers, you live for this stuff, you love true crime, and these are your chosen reads, please join my Facebook group. It is free and open to all. I'm putting the link in the comments. You can submit author requests. You can submit your questions in advance so that you'll know they'll get included. And I do giveaways every week. So it is a win-win-win situation. Nev, I want to thank you for joining us. It has been such a delight to host you. Thank you to all of you for joining us. And come back and chat with us next time when your World's Fair, one more time, Peril
at the Exposition. You know what? The title might just change because that word is awfully long, but Peril at the Exposition is the current title.
I love it. Peril at the Exposition. We love traditional mysteries. Come back and talk to us when your next book is out. Nev March, congratulations on this. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And we look forward to having you here next time. Mystery and Thriller Mavens, I'll see you next Monday. Have a great week until then.
Have a great one. Thank you.